In my 30-plus years, I've been through many storms. I've been through ice storms, hurricanes, and this is one of the worst floods I've ever seen.
It looked like life had just stopped. Everything that was happening at that point, the flash flood had risen so fast, so rapidly, that people just abandoned their cars. They abandoned whatever they had to seek higher ground.
Everything that wasn't nailed down, we got out of here. Equipment, chairs, steamers. We loaded 7 18-wheelers full.
The first few days, we had water rescue people from 6 or 8 states. We had probably 150 boats in the water in this town at one time.
After the storm, we found that we had about 9,000 customers who were without power. Many of the roads were blocked by trees, debris, that kind of thing. Well, the City of Kinston is a member of Electricities, and we have signed a mutual aid agreement, which means that when we need help, any of the other members of this mutual aid agreement will come and help us.
Days in advance of the storm, we started getting the members and assessing the availability of the crews, the service trucks, the materials and equipment that were needed, so that as soon as the storm moved out, we were ready to move in with the crews and the equipment to start the restoration process.
The first information we got about Hurricane Matthew was that it was going to go up the East Coast and it was going to turn before it got to North Carolina. So actually, we were meeting with our electric crews to put together a team to go to South Carolina to help them. The storm did not turn, and Saturday we found ourselves in the Emergency Operations Center with just the winds howling and the rain, and worried about our own town, and unfortunately not able to go help others.
I didn't really comprehend what was coming. And I got a phone call from someone at City Hall, and they said, "Mayor, you might want to come to City Hall. We're getting some pretty bad news from the weather folks about what's coming." And so I went to City Hall, and my life literally changed.
You know, getting that information that late really did cause us to hustle to make changes in our plans, and it was quite harrowing. We had a lot of people, police and fire and citizens, who were stepping up, offering that helping hand when the situations were very damning.
We had the hurricane came through on Saturday night. When I got up to come to work Sunday morning, I had a text from the mayor on my phone saying that the Neuse River was going to crest at 29 feet on Friday.
One of the things that we did differently this year was to have nightly calls so we could get a status update. And when you can imagine, we had about 50 people that were dialing into these calls to understand what was going on in each of the communities, what additional manpower was needed, additional materials, so we could quickly work to get that power restored in those communities. And so we've got crews that are focusing on different areas, whether they're clearing the brush and the debris, or they're actually up on the poles, working on the poles, or working on the lines from the poles to the houses. So everybody's got a role to play. They know what that role is, but first and foremost, they've got to make sure that they're all working together safely.
To me, they were like guardian angels, because we'd went through a disaster for the last 3 or 4 days. And then the trucks started coming in, and when they did, the first sign of recovery was our electricity. It was like a miracle taking place, because we knew then that there was a road to recovery.
When I came to work, they were outside working. When I left to go home, they were still outside working. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we would have never got opened up as soon as we did.
When you have a storm, that's when you really see the best in people come out. And whether it's the best in a lineman or in a community, everyone comes together.
On the 4th day, that night, we started getting the power back on. We started getting a lot of calls coming in. A lot of calls are just thanking employees and thanking out-of-town crews are getting the power back.
I think the value of public power for any community are the employees that work there. They're part of the community. They grew up in the schools of their customers.
The citizens and the communities that we serve own the system. And when you're out and you see the linemen in the local grocery stores, they're your next door neighbors.
A lot of the guys that work for the city eat here all the time. I mean, I know a lot of them first names.
This hit home, and I have a totally different appreciation for having that service, because without that, I don't know what we would have done.